Hi Deepak.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. Hi Ravi. After a
Hi,
long
Ravi.
time. Maybe I think you're on mute,
I
Ravi.
think he's on mute. Yeah.
Sorry, am I audible now?
Yes, yes.
Yeah, you are. Yeah.
Thank you. Hey guys, hi Deepak, hi Shrikant.
Hi. So Ravi will just give couple of minutes for people to join, and then
Yep.
we'll get started.
Yes.
All right. I think Ravi, we can get started.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yeah, Ravi.
Yeah, yeah.
Yep, I'll just share my screen. Let me know when you can see it. Window. Can you see the PowerPoint?
Yeah, yeah. We can see
Okay,
you.
cool. I'll just go ahead. Fine. Thank you guys. Thanks for joining. Right. So I came up with an idea of like just introducing the data mesh. If you will
Ravi,
notice, sorry.
Ravi, can you start with your intro?
Oh, sorry, my bad.
People would
So
be interested.
I'm sorry, my bad. So I've been working in the IT industry for last 14 years. Initially, I've worked with one of the service-based companies, so I've worked with a lot of domains, be in the area of manufacturing or banking and telecom and utilities. Then I switched to investment banking. For last 3 to 4 years, I've been working in the investment banking area. I take a good amount of interest in the data side, so I'm someone who would really enjoy to whom you will throw the data and ask him to figure out the answers and how to present and how to process and how to work it out. So I went on from data analysis to ETL development to building dashboards on Tableau, Power BI, Looker. And recently, my engagement is mostly towards the Tableau side as well as on the Databricks data engineering side. So I'm comfortable on both the sides. So yeah, that is it. Along the way, I think whenever I like something or if I want to learn something, I kind of keep learning through programs, such kind of webinars or sessions, or some sort of certifications. Right, I think Shrikant and I, we have worked in the past as well. I think it's been some time since we have
Yeah,
interacted. So yeah, that was it about me.
that's interesting, Ravi, as usual.
Thank you, thank you. Um, because I've spent a lot of time in the BI and primarily a lot of time working with the business as well. Like at a front end with them. There is something which I have recently encountered, and I've seen a lot of people adopting it, coming up with it, and it's kind of new because this was kind of coined in somewhere in 2019 and 2020, which is data mesh, wherein we talk about centralization versus data decentralization. So this presentation is all about that. So if we just normally understand what is the evolution of data architecture. So initially, when we go back to 80s, 90s, we had traditional databases where we start collecting data. It was mostly the transactional data or the OLTP systems which we used to have, but they had a limitation that you could not do a lot of analysis out of it, and that where it was a showstopper because people were getting matured and they wanted to understand more about the data. Then came the picture of data warehouses, wherein they started centralizing all of their data and dumping it at one place. Again, it was still a lot of structured data, transactional data. The advent of the visualization and tools like Tableau, Power BI, it kind of came up around that time. But again, there were a lot of pipelines going on. There were a lot of issues in terms of the performances. Then the maintenance was expensive. Maintaining the resources also was kind of an issue. And we were entering into the era wherein the data was not just structured, it was in the other forms as well, which required analysis. And that's when we came to the phase which is currently working in a lot of places, which is data lakes, wherein we just not have the structured data, we also have unstructured data in the form of videos, posts, tweets, feeds, or a semi-structured data, which is like a JSON file, which is quite popular in a lot of data analysis area. It gives a good amount of benefit, wherein our machine learning and generative AI has quite picked up in this space, but it also lacks with respect to the different implementations on the governance issues, because it quickly converts into a data swamp. All of that data is there, but nobody understands. It's not structured. Structured, when I say it's not governed, not I'm not aware of what other domain are processing, and we are kind of reworking the same thing. So in order to sort this out, the next phase which we will probably enter in, and some companies have already entered, is the rise of the data mesh. Now, the central architecture which we are kind of aware of is wherein we have business domains who will reach out to your IT team, and they will give out the requirements. Our IT team will convert it into the form of ETL pipelines or ML models or the visualizations, and then produce it back for the consumption of the business domains. They have certain challenges when you see it. One is central data teams have to struggle, as in they have to come up with a lot of growing demands for the insights. Like nowadays business are becoming quicker and demanding. They have a lot to answer in a quick short of time, and IT does not have time to actually satisfy all. What we end up doing is hiring more and more resources and trying to understand that, okay, how exactly we can solve it. Then scalability issue is also a problem, because some domains they will quickly scale it up, and like the data will keep on coming up in a high amount of volume, or you will see a data explosion in some other area. So we are not quite ready. That's because we as an IT team, we are not the first one to be told as in how exactly this is to be handled, but the domain teams, they are pretty much aware of where they are heading, in what direction, and how exactly it's going to turn up. And a slower time to insight, because it takes time for business to first understand own data, then reach out to IT, and then they have their own cycle of producing those output, and finally you get something. So it takes some time for business to see that product in front of them, even though we have agile process methodology, but it takes some time. That is why this concept, I've mentioned the source over here. I hope I am pronouncing it clearly. Zamak Degani. So she introduced this concept of data mesh to really address the challenges wherein we have to scale our data architecture by decentralizing the data ownership. She is empowering in her concepts the domains to manage their own data, come up with their own data products, so that the innovation and the speed of the data products output, it is quite quicker and better than what is being done in the centralized architecture form. Plus it also requires the governance. We have to follow some sort of a standard over there. So this data mesh, it has mainly four different principles. One is the decentralized ownership, as in every domain, they take ownership and accountability of their data by themselves. It won't be the IT team who will be looking at the data. Domains will have to set up their own small sort of professionals who will be handling their data. They will be taking care of their data, because this happens where people are working in quite a good coordination and in quite good succession, so they are able to produce a good amount of insights and the data products out of their workmanship. Second, data as a product, and this is quite important. All of us are busy in producing the outputs. Okay, I have produced the machine learning model, I have produced the visualization report, I know my audience, but there are still a lot of people who you have not considered as your audience, but somewhere in your organization they are also working on the same data, but they are not aware that this thing already exists, and they have been reinventing the wheel and spending a lot of time. So data as a product, this has to be, made easily discoverable by others. There has to be a way and method and mechanism that if somebody is trying to find something, they can probably, search it out and they know, okay, this is where it is, and they start consuming it, rather than, working the same thing out and spending the resources out of it. Third thing which will enable your first 2 point is self-serve infrastructure. Again, if the domain teams, they are dependent a lot on the others to give them the infrastructure, they are going to end up being questioned and have to raise a lot of request and explanation, which will kind of discourage them, when they are pursuing their own innovation, or when they are pursuing different kind of work in their domains. So tools like Tableau and platforms like Snowflake or Databricks, these are some platforms which, where you get your own workspace, and you can define on your at your own level that what kind of an infrastructure do you want, what kind of a cluster or computational power do you want. So this should be governed by you, this should be used by you, so it should be easier for them to, work on it. And the last is very important, is federated government. Policies has to be enforced and adhered by these multiple domains. If they are not adhering those policies, we go back to the same problem, that things are getting converted into a data swamp. So if all of four of these things are working in tandem, that's when you get a proper data mesh, and that's when you utilize it effectively. So I'll quickly cover, like how exactly do you define this. When I talk about the domain oriented ownership, what does that mean? Centralized data teams, they often become bottlenecks because there is a lot of process involved. So we have to empower our domains. We have to decentralize these data responsibilities and put it back to the domains. They have to manage it. They have to use it. They have to figure it out, that how exactly they can, get a quicker result out of it. For example, there is a marketing team who needs customer data to track campaign effectiveness. If you're talking about a centralized system, then they would have to submit a request to the data team. They will have to figure it out, what is the data, and spend time in it. But with data mesh, they will be working on this data on their own. As in, business will have a data engineer of their own, a data scientist of their own, a data engineer of their own, or a visualization and analyst of their who will do it quicker. So they have to do all of these activities on their own and not expect IT team to work on it. If I have to give one example out of it, is wherein we used Tableau. We have so many connectors in Tableau connecting to so many different systems. If you have that data available, your business owner, they will go to Tableau desktop or Tableau public, and they will use those different connectors, connect to their data, and build their visualizations on their own. They start using the AI or get data and start answering those questions quickly on it. So that is something which they have to do it on their own and not explain it to somebody else. But in order to work this one out, it is very important to define domain boundaries. You will see a lot of domains which are quite overlapping. So overlapping will again create some redundancies and duplicacies, and that is something which we have to avoid. Second, which is quite difficult as well to implement, but it is important, is to establish the culture of accountability of the domain data within the domain itself. They have to be held accountable. They can't just produce reports for themselves and use it. They also have to think about who all could be the potential owners or the consumption or the consumers of their reports. They should reach out to those teams as well, understand more about it so that they can develop it better. Second is data as a product. It Your data as a product, consider it as a physical product. It will only be available, or it will only be used properly when it is easily discoverable. Users should be able to find it out easily. It could be a data catalog, it could be a marketplace, it could be tools like Colibra, Alation, which will help you to easily discover that data. Then it has to be usable. We have to supply some kind of a metadata in it so that users can understand what this data is talking about. It can also be like one page of your dashboard which is basically explaining what your dashboard is all about. Third is trustworthiness. There has to be a data owner who's taking the ownership, who's mentioning that how and when this dashboard is getting refreshed, who is kind of vouching for its authenticity, and in terms of issues is also explaining it to the audience that how exactly it is coming up. And it has to be valuable. Your product, it should not just solve your query. There is a possibility that your data set could be resolving something else, or for some others as well. You might as well address those issues here too. So again, an example for this case study here is, if you have a financial team, and there are a lot of finance teams across different domains who want to produce a monthly revenue data set. So once they have produced this data set, others would be able to use it only when they know, okay, this data set exists at this place. From this is where I can kind of connect or fetch this data and start using it. I can basically understand what this data set is all about, or maybe reach out to the data owners as well, that could you please enhance it in your subsequent phases, and are you endorsing this data, whether is it accurate, how frequently do you refresh. And then this data can further be subdivided by different other domains. They can like use it and slice and dice based on their own experience or their use case. They don't have to go back to the data source and start those things again. Somebody has already done it for you. So Tableau as a product, it comes into the picture as your serving layer or as your consumption layer. Because when this data as a product is present somewhere, you basically just connect to that particular location and start using it and consuming it and start producing your dashboards as well, start producing your insights. So you wouldn't spend a lot of time in data engineering because somebody has already done that for you. You just start producing insights out of it, make it quicker. Now, so if we have to introduce these things, then the concept of product management should be clear to these domain teams. Like I said, they are not just building out their reports or their models. They are building out a product. They have to understand who the audience is. And it also has to be cataloged somewhere, because if it is not cataloged, nobody would know that this even exists. You will only get to know these things during some sessions or webinars. Okay, this also exists. So this also has to be kind of advertised properly so that people understand this. Then comes the self-serve data infrastructure. Now, this is, like I said, this is quite important, because if it is not a self-serve infrastructure, then it is going to offer a lot of obstacles and hindrances for the infrastructure team when they are actually catering these requests to the domain teams. So domain teams have to feel confident that, okay, yes, I have these many resources at my disposal which I can use it. Naturally, they would have to pay out of their pocket as well for all of that consumption, but at least they have an option of modifying it as per their women fancy, because they are working for their domain and working something out quickly. They shouldn't be waiting for some sort of an approval and making a lot of handshakes and getting things out and then working on it. So some examples is like data storage, where you are exactly going to store your data, mostly a cloud solution. Object storage, basically, that would be kind of good. Analytical tools like Tableau, where it would be easier for your visualization and reporting, and some pipelines where you would be doing an ingest, transform, and store your typical ETL. So these are the three layers which will be used most probably by all the data related domains. And when they are using any of the components or the infrastructure or tools, it should be easily available for them. For example, your HR domain team, they have to understand the employee attrition. With whatever transaction system they have, they will have a very limited way of kind of understanding it, and most probably you will find them downloading that into an Excel and then doing their analysis. With self-serve infrastructure, they would be able to ingest that data on their own, and they can perform some transformations. What they are doing it in Excel, that kind of computation is quite slow, but they would be able to do it better and much faster over a sophisticated data processing tool, and then quickly convert it into the visualization and insights, which they can publish it out and make it useful for the other team as well. Now, for because it's a front end, for the back end we would need some other cloud related platform as well, like Snowflake or Databricks, where you can have real time processing and the batch kind of processing, or the object storage, where you can store all formats of data. Once you pair this with the Tableau, wherein you can quickly get the data insights out now without writing much of a code, so it will kind of help you get it done faster as well. The benefits: faster time to insight. Your team wouldn't have to wait for data engineers requirement processing. You can figure out, or you can get your own way of working out there. And domains can scale their operations independently. They can have their own trial and error and see how well it works out for them. They can also learn it from others. They can try something of their own. Last and the most important is the federated computational governance. Governance is the key factor. Again, if the governance is not there, then you are not balancing autonomy. You have to see that there is some sort of an oversight, there are some sort of standards to enforce, which will help your all of your work deliverables aligned. Following the typical data security protocols, so you do not land up in exposing some of the vulnerabilities. And you have to follow compliances like GDPR and HIPAA. So like everybody should be aware of these compliances, so that it's not just the product they're getting out. They have to ensure that uh, they are not getting into the risk of any sort of a violation. For example, if you have a legal team, they can set a policy that a sensitive CID or a customer related data, either it should be anonymized or it should be masked, it should not be shown exactly. So it is some sort of a guidelines basically which you can enable, and you should also have a mechanism to monitor it as well, so that if someone is going off track, you are able to guide them and get them on track. So that monitoring is also quite important. So each domain ensures that they are fully compliant and they are producing out data products with respect to that architecture. And there should be a central governance team for this one, who's going to monitor this governance across the different tools. I think we generally have a lot of governance team going on, but here in terms of the data mesh perspective as well, we would have this central governance team who will be looking at across all the projects. From Tableau perspective, there are ways where we can apply row-based security or a column-based security or a role-based access controls, so that we are ensuring that only the authorized person or the authorized users are able to view it, not everybody else. Right. Wait, sorry, last. Yeah. And we could also have some automation where we can, enforce these policies, not just in terms of their adherence, but also in terms of flagging if there is a violation. We can have email alerts or some kind of an guideline going down to them. Right. So how Tableau fits into the data mesh environment? It is mostly at the consumption or the serving layer, but it can be, work as a bridge between a decentralized data ownership and a centralized insight generation, because we maintain a lot of sites, a lot of visualization, so we can gather it around. But how exactly? So we can make our data discoverable. Tableau can integrate with different data catalogs, and it can make it easier for user to connect to those different domain related specific data set. Or uh, if you are having that information already, then you can connect to those different systems as well and then do it. Then the self-service analytics, business users, once they are aware of this data, because it's their own data which they have to be aware of, they can start building it out, they can start working it out. They will need a, a expertise who's able to work on these, but there are some things which they can do it quickly and they wouldn't need much help on it. We can count on our Tableau's intuitive interface when it talks about of self-generating those dashboards. Then Tableau server and Tableau cloud, it can help us with the governance and security about the data access control. How are we providing it and enabling the decentralized consumption? Then collaborations, we can always share our dashboards, pass it over the comments, but in all possibility, how exactly we are advertising it, that is also quite important over here. For example, in an organization, we have domains like sales, marketing, finance, HR, operations. We can use Tableau to track campaign performance for the marketing. We can use it for revenue forecasting. We can use it for monitoring the supply chain metrics. So it's a good visualization tool which will help you, not just see one side or one part of your company, but the other part as well. So, call to action for all of the teams is to leverage Tableau as the analytical front end for your data mesh implementation, and ensure that all of our domain teams, they are equipped to use Tableau, or they at least have some knowledge or one of the data professionals to help them out in terms of leveraging this data democratization. This is one quick diagram which will kind of give you an idea that how exactly it works out. So on the left hand side, you see different data sources. It could be SAP for supply chain, Salesforce for CRMs, Splunk for logs, SAP HANA for supply chain, Workday for people, like that, Facebook feeds and all. So we can use uh, any of the clouds. If you are using, let's say, you can use Kafka for streaming the data. You have Azure Data Factory, you have AWS Glue, Google Cloud Data Flow to get that data from those systems or from on-premise to your cloud. Once that data is here, this part is divided into two phases. One part, which you see, this first block, big block, you will see over here, it's a central data team. Now, this is the central data team. It's their responsibility to collect all of this data from these different data sources at one place and producing a basic silver table wherein some kind of a data quality check, some kind of a data cleaning part is applied. All they are doing at this stage is consuming the data, applying a little bit of a data transformation or a data cleansing process, and now they are going to advertise and publish this data so that everybody in the organization is aware using a data catalog. And they can have different tools at their disposal, like workflows, Terraform, SQL, Spark, or Delta table for enabling this bit. Once this data is enabled, now on the right hand side you will see two blocks. One is sales domain, one is finance domain. Now, sales domain is just going to connect to those tables which they are interested in, and so is the possibility for finance domain. They are just going, they have to go to the tool like Alation or Colibra, where they will go and discover, okay, yeah, this is the data set I'm interested in. They will connect to this data, and on top of that data, they will start working their either ETL part or a machine learning models creation, and sales team will create their own visualizations tools, or like I said, data as a product out of it. Finance domain team, they will probably produce their own price related models, or they may be like streaming this data back to some of the event applications, or maybe putting it in an API format so that how exactly it can be leveraged by the others as well. On top, you will see Unity Catalog as one of the examples from Databricks. This is for federated governance. In Unity Catalog, we can ensure the access control, who all are accessing it, a data catalog where we will publish all our data products, tables, auditing logging to understand who's working it out and how much, so that we can provide some guidance. Data lineage is very important so that we can understand that, okay, I am a consumption user. I have to understand how exactly this data is coming from. So that data lineage facility is also quite important. Usage tracking, so that again it can be advised to the teams that how well they are using these resources. Basic FinOps practices. Cost attribution is important because you have to define who's spending and what is the cost that it is coming up with, and a basic data quality monitoring where you can identify some failures, or you can put some constraints. You will know that, okay, these things are failing. So this has to be automated so that and this has to run across. Okay, and yeah, then it goes to Tableau and different cost management tools where you can work this out. I think that was it, and I believe you will see data mesh benefits coming from the different parts if you're working it out, be it the domain ownership or the infrastructure or a self-service. If all of these things are coming in together, I think you will see that you're not inhibiting these challenges. In fact, you are able to explore it and scale it more quicker and faster because you are at the root of it. I think, yeah, this is it from my side. Any questions?
Thank you, Ravi. So we do take the questions at the end of the session,
Okay. Yep, sure.
usually. That was very much informative, and so we can adapt these things also in our existing development things.
Yep.
Okay.
So I,
Abhinav is also on call. Hi,
okay.
Abhinav. Thanks for joining.
Yeah, hi Shrikant, hi Ravi, hi Deepak. Sorry for
Hey,
being
hi
late.
Abhinav.
Hi, Abhinav.
How are you all?
All good. Thank you.
Going.
How are you?
So, like real sorry, my like login, I was not able to log in. So that's why.
No
No
issues,
problem.
no
No problem.
issues. Yeah,
Yeah.
Okay.
So you want to
Shall
start
I?
your intro?
Yep,
yeah.
yep. So, let me introduce myself. So, I am Abhinav, and right now I am working as a senior Tableau developer for Bird Eye, which is a SaaS-based platform. And I have been working in the data domain for around 7 years, and like I have been working mostly on Tableau. So Tableau is my primary skill. Apart from Tableau, I have worked on like few projects using Power BI as well. But like in my work also, or for my personal work too, I prefer Tableau, so more comfortable with Tableau. And for this like session, I am going to present on how to design better business dashboards using Tableau. So yeah, shall I take further?
Yeah,
Yes, please.
go on, Abhinav, please.
Okay, yeah, thank you very much. So let me share my screen. Okay, so as I just mentioned at the focus, like for today's session will be mostly on the dashboard design part. So we all are aware that like why Tableau and how Tableau is transforming the like BI space, and specifically with all the tasks related to BI, as Ravi was explaining regarding all the data lineage and how it is performing on the backend side of the business. Now let's talk about the front end side. So in our day-to-day life we all come across different kind of dashboards. So in any domain, the like ask of the business is basically solved through designing those dashboards, which are basically a tool to answer our crucial questions for our business. Now the point is, what we realize or what we see in our day-to-day life is most of the developers, they are quite familiar with Tableau, but they end up creating something which is not kind of sustainable. But yeah, like it solves their purpose. But again, it if a dashboard, I mean, we should look at a dashboard as a tool to interpret our key questions. Now the better the UI, it will be easier for the end user to interpret it very easily. So, I'm going to focus today on how to make it more sustainable, more meaningful, and that's why I have kept the title as the minimalistic business dashboard. Now, a minimalistic business dashboard is one where we tend to use less and less say colors, lesser third party resources, like using lesser images. I mean, until unless the ask is to say, if we are working on a dashboard and the ask is to integrate particular images, then only I mean, then it's okay to use those images. But if it is not at all required, and if we are adding like say images and icons, so it will make the workbook go heavier, which will impact the performance, and which is a very crucial thing for a dashboard developer or for any team that is working on Tableau. If the dashboards are performing very low, it will be not good for them. Now, coming back to the slide, so here we can see that I have basically categorized on what minimalistic business dashboards are and what it means. So, as I just mentioned, that it is a essential tool for decision making. I mean, we should always interpret dashboard as a tool to solve our key question. Now, also, I just mentioned that when we say minimalistic dashboard, we basically mean that we should prioritize being more simplistic and focusing solely on the critical metrics. I mean, the data ink ratio should be in such a way that if a user is taking a glance on a dashboard, then it should follow a top-down approach, and he or she should get the key metrics in a glance, and they don't need to spend too much time to interpret those. Now, coming to the next point, which I have written here as avoiding clutter. Now, this is the same point which I was talking just a while ago, that we should always avoid all the unnecessary thing in the dashboard or in the UI, so that it is it is easier for anyone to read and interpret. Now, coming back to how Tableau is performing in the BI sector. So we all know that Tableau at present is the most powerful and the most number one tool to create complex kind of visuals with much ease, and it follows a steep learning curve. So anyone who is new with the tool can easily get to know more about the tool in just few days and few months. So it is kind of easier to work on Tableau. And also, the focus here is that if our dashboard will look great, then it will be easier for the end user as well to get what they are looking for. Moving to the next slide. Okay, so here we are going to understand that how Tableau is helping us to create those kind of dashboard, and what all feature and or what all products Tableau offers for a Tableau developer or for someone who is working on Tableau. So we are already aware that Tableau desktop is basically the one stop shop for everything that we need to do in Tableau. And also while working as a Tableau developer or as anyone who is related to Tableau, so they have an idea that they do almost 99% of their work using Tableau desktop only. Okay, moving to the Tableau server. So Tableau server is basically a platform where we can collaborate with what we are creating to the end users or with our members, so that anyone can get to know that what we have created, and they can drill down into the details, and they can have every control over the dashboard, so that a dashboard is not a static image, and they can unlock the key potentials of the dashboard. Now, Tableau Online is a cloud-based solution that again gives the user to have the same grasp over the data and the dashboard. Talking about Tableau Public. So Tableau Public is one of the best thing about Tableau. Now, Tableau Public is a platform as well, and Tableau Public is a tool as well. For someone who is new to Tableau environment, or for someone who is still trying to move into the Tableau domain, or to get more hands-on with Tableau. So what Tableau Public offers, it offers a free web-based platform where anyone can create a visualization or a dashboard, and they can just share it easily without the need of having a separate Tableau server or Tableau online. I mean, it can be shared publicly as a URL to anyone, and also it gives the option to embed those dashboard into web pages as well. And also Tableau Public is and also Tableau Public offers a desktop version as well, free Tableau desktop kind of thing, so that if someone is not having a license with Tableau, they can work using the Tableau. Now, the thing is, what all principles we should follow in order to visualize more effective dashboards using Tableau. And as I mentioned, that we should always focus on these four key points while trying to build anything in Tableau. I mean, while trying to build a new dashboard or even enhancing a already existing dashboard, that we should focus on the clarity, the simplicity, consistency, and functionality. Now, clarity, which itself like is clear enough to understand that it should answer to the point, and it should provide the answer in a very easier and digestible manner, so that anyone can interpret or get to know about the things that we have put on in the dashboard easily. Talking about simplicity, which I just mentioned a while ago, that we should not distract from what we were trying to visualize, and we should not delve into producing or presenting kind of more complex visuals, which anyone which is not familiar with the Tableau environment or the data visual environment, so they will face kind of difficulty interpreting those. So we should always follow the simplicity approach to to make everyone feel comfortable with what information we are trying to present. Talking about the consistency, so consistency basically focus on, so if we are using I mean, in a dashboard we use lots and lots of fonts, I mean, in order to say in order to present kind of some kind of information, or some kind of alert message, or even subtext for any KPI. So if a dashboard is having a consistent font scheme, it looks better and it gives a great appeal in terms of like UX perspective. So we should always follow the same color schemes and fonts to make the dashboard look more organized and more better in terms of design. Now the last thing is functionality. So we should always keep this in mind that whatever dashboards we are trying to create is easier to navigate and understand. And to sum up what all like I just said, so the point is like in order to create something beautiful, we should always try and start with the simplest solution, and try to remove like all the clutter that we can avoid, and in that way it will like become more beautiful and more organized. So this is the key to produce better and better dashboards. Now, for someone who is completely new in Tableau, and for people who are like still trying to get more hands-on with Tableau, so I'm just trying to kind of produce a overall picture that how we should approach in terms of designing visual or a chart or a dashboard using Tableau. So the very first step starts with like connect to the data source. So if our data source is coming from flat files, we should like connect with Excel or CSV, or if the data is coming from a DB, we can connect to any DB, because Tableau offers a connection with almost all the DBs, so we can connect to that data easily. Now often we need to make our visual like often we come across situations where our data is kind of messier. So we should always prepare our data in the backend, because it is easier to handle clean data in Tableau. Tableau is better at data visualization, but Tableau is not pretty good at handling complex data modeling things. So we should take the help of other ETL tools like Alteryx or Tableau Prep to clean and organize the data before injecting the final data into the workbook. Now the step 3 is to designing the dashboard, and when I say design, it basically means to create the necessary charts, and to tidy up the headers, to align the tool tips, to make sure that the color scheme is consistent throughout the dashboard. And if we are using multiple color palettes, then every color should speak for like this for themselves. And if we are using multiple colors, we should provide appropriate legend, so the end user is able to interpret it easily. And once all this process is done, the last step is to publish and share. So if we are creating a dashboard for our organization, we can use Tableau Online or Tableau Server to publish and share our workbook or dashboard with our teammates or with our customers. And if we are trying to work on a personal project, we should publish our dashboard to Tableau Public. So now the best thing about Tableau is we don't need to invent anything in order to be better at something. So Tableau Public offers a gamut or a list, or say multiple dashboards curated by many talented authors all across the world. So if we are trying to learn something, it's not like we are not supposed to like reinvent the wheels. So we can explore similar kind of visualization, we can get inspired, and we can try to recreate something. And again, if we are trying to recreate someone's work, it's always advisable to mention their name as an inspiration, and to give them a proper shout out that we are taking inspiration from that particular author, because in that if you are following that practice, it will be good for the author and you yourself as well. So moving to the next part, Tableau Public also offers kind of community engagement benefits. So you can get involved with the data fam community to get feedbacks on whatever work you are publishing, and in that way, everyone can grow and enhance their skill, going further. So this was about the how we can leverage Tableau Public to get more better in terms of data visualization using Tableau. Now we if someone is working in with Tableau for their in their day-to-day life, so they can connect with this a statement that Tableau is right now is offering the enterprise to get more better data insights and to have more control over their inventory management if we are talking about the supply chain domain. And also, with the help of Tableau, many organizations were tried to reduce their cost for the BI processes when they were using legacy tools. So and when they migrated from say old tools like Looker or Burst, and now they moved to Tableau, and in that way they were able to reduce the costing to a significant level, and that's how Tableau is helping them in their day-to-day life. So, talking about some of the challenges that we face in our while working with the while working as a Tableau developer, or while working on designing a dashboard. So, the very first thing we can face is about the data overload. So, if we are throwing in too much of data, it will always lead to confusion, and it will eventually be more insignificant while giving the proper key metrics to the end user. Now often people follow that they design a very good looking dashboard, which is really looking great in terms of UI. But again, if a dashboard is not having proper interactivity, proper filters, proper action element, action filters or parameter actions, so then it is just static image. And Tableau is and Tableau provides more way than just producing image. So we should always try to introduce more level of interactivity so that the end user can get into more drill down of the data, and they can get their answers which they are looking for. And we should always optimize our layout. We should give them a simplest layout so that it will be easier for them to navigate and interpret. Okay, so now moving to how we can explore with the more advanced visualization. So, so far, in my opinion, or what I have learned using from the expert, uh, like from the mouth of from what I have learned from the expert is we should always follow the simplest approach, and we should present the end users what they are looking for in terms of simpler charts, which is easier to interpret. But again, when your client or your end user is asking to generate your information in terms of more complex visuals, then we should always explore all the additional options that we can use in terms so that we can visualize the data in a more meaningful way. And heat map, scatter plot, maps, these are some of the uh, this these are not advanced one, these are basic one. But again, if they are used properly, they can be a very powerful way of conveying information through your data. So now talking to how the dashboard designing is going to evolve in the coming years, and like some of which we are also seeing right now, but again these are like it will take say some time to get the tool uh, getting more better at it. So right now Tableau Pulse and Tableau like Plus, so they are offering solutions like AI driven insights. So you can get like all the important KPI that you have selected, and you will get a snapshot of all the important metrics on your mail. So it in that way it is very like it becomes very easier for the like stakeholders to get all the information using the power of AI. So nowadays also the augmented analytics is evolving. So more and more ML, NLP, these are getting integrated with the BI tool, so that the so that anyone can get their hands on with the data without having the need to know sophisticated algorithm like machine learning or NLP. So it is getting easier. And increased personalization basically means that in the coming years we will get to see more and more sophisticated and advanced visuals, which will be like more easier to plot rather than coding too much of like advanced algorithm into it to produce advanced visual. So summing up what all I just like mentioned, or I just said, that in order to create something beautiful with any tool, not only Tableau, but be it Power BI, Looker, or anything, we should always remember that we are working as not a Tableau developer or not a data visualization expert, but we are working as a in order to act as a bridge between us and the stakeholders. So we should convey whatever information we are trying to convey in the simplest manner, and that's where clarity and simplicity like pitches in. So we should always focus on clarity and simplicity. We should leverage the new features which Tableau is uh, presenting to us each quarter with the new updates, and we should stay updated with the new trends with the tool. So that is all. And so the only way to get to get more expertise with anything is to get your hands dirtier. So start digging into Tableau Public, start looking into more and more visuals, try to download them if it is available to download, and try to reverse engineer it, and be more better at creating something which is more impactful. So yeah, thank you very much for uh, this opportunity, and I took so much time. So yeah, thank you again.
Thanks, Abhinav.
Yeah.
I do.
Let me take a screenshot. Yeah, I think we can stop recording here, right?
I think Basant something. Hi, Basant. Do you have any question?
Uh, Hi Deepak, hi Shrikant, Abhinav and Ravi. Like it was a great session. So it's more of like Ravi, like your session is more of the data portion of Tableau, right? Like how we have to, like the back end part and front end part. It seems like an effective collaboration of these two. So here I have few questions for you both. So in your work experience, so when you try to sell a dashboard, according to you, like let's say like if you get a requirement from stakeholder for a particular task, the stakeholder want to get some insights out of it, but in your mind you feel like okay, like I can provide something better. Like it might be like what he asked more than that, or like you feel like it is useful for the organization in such a way. So at this point of time there is a contraction, like stakeholder might not want this, but you want to sell this idea like along with this dashboard. So at that point of time, which trade-off help you the most, like whether it's the interactiveness or design of the dashboard, or like explaining the usability of it? How did you sell a dashboard to a stakeholder when you have done some innovation to it, either by using design, or some fancy things, or by keeping it aligned more to stakeholder needs? So what do you think it's the best way to sell it?
I think that is to Abhinav, right?
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. So, uh, for that scenario, I will like what I have like experienced so far is your stakeholder is not interested in like what you are trying to build. So they are interested in basically they are interested in getting their queries resolved, or to get to know that what that number represent. So we should always focus on trying to give their solution first in the simplest kind of manner. Now, once they are pretty aligned with the number or the metrics or the KPIs that we are representing here, and if you are having a better, say, visualization in your mind, and you are trying to like make your dashboards look more sustainable and more beautiful, now you should try to create a, say, kind of wireframe instead of creating everything. Because many a times you may experience that you have created a new beautiful looking dashboard, but your stakeholder is saying that we don't need this, who told you to do this, and why you did so much effort. So always try to create a wireframe, present that mock-up to them, and if they approve, then only try to move and work in that direction. Because anyway, our goal should be to provide them the solutions that they are looking for. So please correct me, Ravi, if I
Um,
said
uh, I'll,
anything.
I'll, no, not at all. So, but I'll just share my experience. So, Basit, I have had a fair share of what you just mentioned, and it's pretty tricky as well. Like Abhinav mentioned, right? They are not much interested in what you are trying to design. At the end of the day, they are interested in finding the answers. That's the use of our visualization tool. With most of my customers, I face this issue that they just want their Excel to be shown in the similar way in Tableau. They are not interested even in the features. They are like, okay, we like this automation and those things. What I have seen is you have to understand their domain. You have to understand what they're trying to find answers. There are a lot of things which they even don't know what is possible with the data. For example, with one of my users, they were totally into, that, okay, I just want to see my matrix related chart. I want an Excel related chart here itself. I created some visualizations on the basis of the understanding which I have understood. There were some data quality issues, and there were some services or something which was showing in the visualization map in Namibia. My business came up and he said that, what are we doing in Namibia? We do not have anything in Namibia. And that's when we understood that, okay, NA is coming in the data which is getting used in map as Namibia. From that point onwards, he started figuring out, okay, data quality issues are coming up. He started working those things out, that okay, this is how things are linked. They wouldn't know how to use those visualizations. In Instead of creating something fancy, I would say focus on creating something impactful. Is it answering something worthy? If that is the case, then you can always have one some kind of a one-to-one session, or you can take a feedback from somebody else before presenting it to the final user. See if it answers those questions. If it does, they will productionize it. They will create those requirements quickly, and they will ask you to do it as soon as possible. If it is something which just looks good, I would say you go ahead to Tableau and you find out the usage statistics. You see how many users are using it. If your visualizations, a lot of users are using it, then that is something you have created valuable. If not a lot of users are using it, then it is of no value. Best is reach out to those people, understand what answers are you looking for, or maybe what is the possibility of this data, and then like work backwards, work from that point of view. Look at the product level, do not look at the technology or the tool level. That's my experience.
Yeah, yeah,
Okay.
yeah. I echo that. So in terms of the clients, the size of the clients, or like, to me it's an enterprise level, right? At times, like, it's mostly the stakeholders, not at a client level. Like, mostly, like, I don't need to be there in a position to satisfy my client need always, but I'm in an enterprise, like, where stakeholder might have an idea, but here, like, after seeing the data, I'll get something more. So at that point of time, I need to sell my innovation right out of data, regardless of the design or whatever it is saying. So let's say, like, I find some interesting factor about a particular product's behavior in my dashboard, but that is not what my stakeholder asked. But that particular insight will generate something, something better for the organization. Let's say, like, they can launch a campaign, or they can do some better decision making out of it. But at that point, to make them agree that this is valid, like, this is sellable. Because even if, like, with that mindset, even the stakeholder, if I say something like which is interesting, they will not listen to it, unless that, like, when their primary requirement is satisfied, they will not look into the additional things. So that is what mostly we are facing in terms of introducing an innovation into a tool. So
It
at
is
this,
correct. It is correct as well. Sorry to interrupt you. It is correct as well because your business, your customers, they have some milestones.
yeah,
They have also, I mean, they are also speaking to their bosses, right? And they are trying to get something out. So see, that is the, I mean, wouldn't cover the entire thing, but that is what I was saying about the data mesh domain as the empowerment. They will know, what they are kind of looking at, what you're providing. It might be informative and additional, but maybe not something which they want to use it now. So yes, primary requirement has to be met. If what you are delivering, if it is on top of that primary requirement, I can assure you they will stop asking for that requirement and they will select your dashboard. No, it is answering something more, and it will happen with some of trial and error. It will happen, but they also have to meet their deadlines and timelines. So
right, right, right.
if it is something additional, I think they will give it a second look. Once this has been answered. See, if you are spending your time, right, it is going to get billed. So if it is coming out of free, they will productionize it as well. So everything is chargeable, and they want to utilize that fund and money accordingly, that okay, everything is going to production, it is going to eventually come to the billables. So think, like I said again, think if what you are delivering, which is maybe you think that there is more to the data what they can actually think of, and you are in that position of understanding it, just think that how well can you get those questions answered. They may not have think of it as of now, but just try to think from that point of view. If not now, later on they will definitely pick that up, because you are answering
Yeah,
something more which they are not aware
mostly,
of it.
right, right, right. Like, sorry. Like, mostly it will become a self idea. So that's where I'm just asking, like, because in terms of these industries, like, it's not going to be your client as well. Either, like, you get your requirement from a manager, like, your actual organization will look out for something else. Like, the holistic task is to have a better business. But, like,
Yes,
how you're getting the requirement is like some few pointers, like, okay, I want to see this. It is their understanding. Like, the person who gave you the requirement is their
correct.
understanding.
Yeah,
But as an end developer, you might have something better in your mind to meet that particular goal. Like, let's forget about the client hierarchy stuff. So you're an organization. For your organization, you need to improve the business. So you're getting a requirement from someone, a higher hierarchy, and now you have an innovation. So at this point, like, we, in a way, like, we need to convince yeah, the first layer, right? Before proceeding into the second layer, we need to convince the first layer, right? Mostly it will become a shelf idea, but is there a way that we can effectively communicate? Okay, this is going to impact the business a lot better, like, lot effective than what was given as an initial requirement.
you have to find one, at least one business person who you are going to present, who's open to new questions, who's open to experiment or who's open to ask more. Because a lot are, they have their own defined timelines and everything, but there you will find at least one, who's able to understand what you're trying to throw. And trust me, once you have convinced those kind of professionals, Again, this I'm telling from the experience. If you have convinced even that one, that person then ensures and he actually starts advertising your product. Okay, this is something what Basit has developed. Maybe we can, utilize it and use it and put it together.
Yeah, yeah, sure, sure. So I think you guys have some experience. Yeah, yeah,
Tableau
that.
developers or data visualization. Can you hear me? Hello.
Yes, yes, Deepak.
Yes,
Yeah,
Deepak.
Yeah.
yeah, yeah,
So the
Deepak.
thing
You
is,
can.
you get to present your dashboard to multiple people. So the multiple layers that the dashboard goes through, right? Uh, so even in our organization, we take it through multiple layers of people. So maybe in the first level, it may not get approved. People may not want the information that anything additional that you were trying to provide. But eventually, as you go up the ladder, there are people who will be more interested in seeing it, right? I think you should try to convince people. If your idea is very good, if it's going to have some impact on the business, if it's going to bring in more revenue, then it's worth taking it up the ladder and proving it to people. And another point that you brought up was, see, when you're dealing with visualization, right, there are multiple ways of showing the same data. A best developer is someone who uh, who shows the very complex problem in a very simpler way. So, right, that is more important. Anything fancy in Tableau will not work with the business or with the stakeholders, because they are not as sophisticated or as knowledgeable as you are. So they will probably want a basic bar chart to understand it. Very fun and fancy.
Deepak, your voice is breaking, man.
I think he's in office.
Yeah, I think you can go on audio. Okay. I think we can stop this recording at this point. We can continue the session if you want.